So this is my Bidvest story, my personal experience from working for Bidvest. Again, if you guys want to watch full-length videos, please go over to my YouTube channel where I upload the full-length entire videos. I don't normally speak from notes. I've made some notes on my computer, and the reason for that is because there are certain important things that I didn't want to leave out, and I wanted to try and keep certain things in a good chronological order, in the timeline, the way the events occurred. Okay, let's go. So by the end of 2021, I was working in Cape Town for a large fastener supplier, and at that time a recruitment company for Bidvest Plumbing contacted me and asked me to apply for a regional sales manager position in Cape Town. After a bit of back and forth, I agreed to apply for the position. At no point did they say anything to me about a vaccination or a vaccine or mandatory vaccinations or anything of that nature. So after that, I agreed to apply for the position, and then we had an interview with the recruitment company. Again, they said nothing about a vaccination. From there, I went for an interview at Bidvest Plumbing. There was a director, there was the regional manager who's like in charge of the Western Cape. There were maybe one or two other people. Again, nowhere during this interview did they say anything about a vaccination. They had my updated CV. Nowhere on my CV does it say that I'm vaccinated. Okay. In the interview, just something interesting. I told them, look, this is what I bring to the table, over a decade of sales management, etc. But I don't have any plumbing experience. I don't know the systems that you guys are using, the plumbing consumables, the KVI lines, the customers, the suppliers. I know nothing. And they said to me at the time, that's exactly what they're looking for. They're actually looking for somebody from the outside to come in with those management skills. Okay. Eventually they made an offer, which I accepted, and they said nothing about a vaccination. I started the first week in January 2022 at a branch. They were supposed to give me a little bit of training on how the system works and, some KVI and stuff. The interesting was the branch was actually super busy that week, and they were unable to give me any training. I mean, if I spent 30 minutes to an hour physically capturing sales and stuff on the computer that week, it was a lot. They basically zero training that week. That's important. Later on, I'm going to talk about that as a lesson learned. I'm going to cover that a bit later on. The second week in January, I started at a head office where my position is actually located, and people slowly started coming back to work from leave, from December holiday, shutdown, etc. So in total, I worked for Bidvest Plumbing from January to July. At no point did anybody ever give me any training. I will talk about this a little bit later on. So the third week, while working, the regional manager came into my office and asked me, "Hey Peter, are you vaccinated?" And I said, "No." And he said to me, "Is it a personal choice?" And I said, "Yes." Now, that is where the shit started, in my opinion, but I'll get to that a little bit later on. Somewhere in the first few months, I had to travel to Joburg. I was the regional sales manager. I had to travel to Joburg with the regional manager, my line manager, to go see the CEOs and the directors. Okay, so two of the things were they were looking for a better commission structure for their store managers. You see, what was happening at the time was their store managers were earning commission on their sales. So what do the store managers do? The store managers just outsell everybody in the branch, which is great, but who's running the business if the store managers are focusing on sales so that they can make commission? Fair enough, okay? So I had a meeting back and forth. I had meetings with the regional manager on what my suggestion was, because from 3 years of experience at Pick n Pay, the way that Pick n Pay at that time, I don't know now, how they incentivized their managers was, look, The manager gets incentive on the store's net profit, the store's turnover, the store's audits, the store's shrinkage, all of that stuff, the business's performance. The manager of the store doesn't physically go work on a till and get a commission for the sales that he makes. So I ran this past the regional manager, so to make sure we were in one accord when we go to Joburg and we give them our solution, we were on the same page. And they also wanted to know about customer relationship management software, which I'm very familiar with, been working with it for many years, and I gave them my input there. Anyway, we get to Joburg. We get to this boardroom, and the CEO is there, and the directors are there, and all the regional managers and regional sales managers from all the regions are there. And I'm listening. Eventually, they ask me for my input, and I provide them with my presentation, my plan. Only to have this regional manager, my regional manager, right there and then turn on me and say, no, he's of the opinion that these branch managers shouldn't be earning any commission or should not be incentivized in any way whatsoever. They should just be earning a salary and they should just do what they're getting paid for. Okay? So that was like that pulled the rug under my feet. But needless to say, the CEOs and the directors actually liked my idea. I don't know if they eventually implemented it because, like I said just now, I was only there until July. I didn't hang around long enough to find out. Okay, so we had reps in Cape Town, in the Western Cape, that were resigning, and some of the reps were leaving the company for various reasons, and we needed 2 more reps. So I got 2 more reps. After interviewing, doing many interviews, I got 2 more reps from Joburg who were relocating to Cape Town, who got the positions. And during the hiring process, they forced me, the company, Plumlink, forced me to ask the people, yeah, but are you vaccinated? And so what I said to the people eventually, like in the second, more serious interviews, I said, look, I'm not vaccinated, but this is a question that the company wants me to ask you. You know, and I actually still feel cock for asking them that because I feel it's none of my business whether or not somebody's vaccinated. But anyway. And so, yeah, at the time also the reps were earning terrible salaries and the commission structure was just terrible. So I presented a new commission structure which they actually accepted in writing on email, and they said, okay, but hold on, they're only going to accept this and apply this to the new sales reps. Okay. So the commission structure was basically 90% based on sales, a few KPIs that directly contribute to sales performance. So we agreed on email, we appointed the new reps, we appointed them with the new commission structure. After a month or 2, the reps started hitting their targets and their pay, their salaries were incorrect. It was like, at that time, we went to the regional manager and we said, listen, what's the story with the salaries? These reps, they hit their targets, they're supposed to earn their commissions and so on. And he just said to them, yeah, well, Peter acted prematurely with that commission structure. The company is no longer going to honor it. Okay. So it was so bad. I felt so bad. I felt so terrible for both of those reps. I literally went out of my way to organize both of them other jobs in Cape Town, still in the plumbing industry, one with a very good supplier and then the other one at a branch. But I felt terrible. I had to help them, and I helped them before I left the company. Once a month we had these boardroom meetings. The financial manager was there, the regional manager's there, the regional sales manager, the operations manager, the buyer, a couple of us there in the meeting. And I always took my own minutes. Till this day, when I'm in a meeting, any meeting, I take my own minutes. I don't care if there's somebody taking minutes or not. I note down a couple of the important things. So in one of the meetings, the regional manager said, with the upcoming conference, the unvaccinated won't be attending. So those of you who are unvaccinated, you need to quickly get that sorted out. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm one of the unvaccinated. He knows I'm unvaccinated. He asked me that the third week after I started working there. I'm not going to the conference, and I'm perfectly fine with that if I'm not going to get a vaccination to attend the conference. So the meeting after that, a month later, the regional manager said, the regional manager said, the company is now looking at ways of parting ways with the unvaccinated. And then I'm still taking my own minutes, taking my own notes. And the meeting after that, the regional manager said again in the meeting, Bidvest Plumbing is looking at parting ways with all of their unvaccinated employees. So now, I'm waiting every single day for the axe to fall. I mean, any day now, the bosses of Bidvest Plumbing, they're going to call me in, sit me down, and tell me how they will be parting ways with me, the unvaccinated. In the midst of all this, just about every single deal that the regional manager approves terms and conditions on, he recants after we close the deal, after the customers make the purchases. To give you one example, a customer would say, look, I need 100 geysers for a large development project in Cape Town. And then the customer would say, I'll buy the geysers. I like the price that you putting on the table eventually, the discount structure, everything, but you need to store the geysers for me and I'll take them as I need them. And then the regional manager would agree. We'd have it in writing. We'd go back to the customer and say, listen, the regional manager has agreed. You can buy the 100 geysers. We can store it for you. Then after the guy buys the geysers, a week later, the regional manager says, listen, that guy that bought the 100 geysers, where can I deliver them? I said, what do you mean? We said he's going to take them a couple of weeks as he's building, as he needs the geysers. He says, no, well, sorry, I don't have place for it anymore. Stuff like that happened constantly. Every week we had things like that happening. So the reps also, the reps would make sales with their customer base, the customers that are on their names, and he would literally subtract those sales, and he would just say things like, yeah, well, they were anyways going to buy this from us or that from us, or because he knows them, it's not actually the rep sales, it doesn't count for whatever the reason. So there was a public holiday in one of the weeks, it might have been June, July, it was on a Thursday or a Friday. So a week or two before that, I asked for leave I think the public holiday was like a Wednesday and a Friday or something, and I asked for leave on the Thursday. But anyway, I wasn't going to be at work the Wednesday, the Thursday, and the Friday, and he knew that because he approved my annual leave on email in writing. That Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, he sent me an email that he wants a breakdown of the sales plan, and he had like 20 or 30 ridiculous points that he wanted me to go into super detail, and he wants it on his desk by Friday morning at 9 o'clock. He knew I asked to be off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. He approved it. So now I didn't take off. I worked. I now worked out this whole plan. But at the same time, it was also the straw that broke the camel's back. I sent an email to him and directly to him and to HR. I think I copied HR in. And HR is another separate lesson. I'll make another video about it. I didn't include it in my lessons learned, but I should make a whole video about HR and corporate companies and large businesses. Businesses where the owners aren't involved. Anyway, so I sent a mail and I said, listen, I request an urgent meeting with the CEO of the company. I would like to speak to him, address him about a concern that I have that the company, Bidvest Plumbing, is looking at ways of parting ways with the unvaccinated. And so they scheduled a meeting for me with the HR and with the regional manager, who has been telling me that the company is looking at ways of parting ways with the unvaccinated. So anyway, in the meeting, they made it a conference call, didn't see me in person, as I started speaking, I said, listen, I'm very concerned. We've had 3 meetings where this guy, first one, he said, unvaccinated aren't going to the conference. That's fine. Last 2 meetings, this oak is saying, you guys are looking at ways of parting ways with the unvaccinated. And she immediately stopped me in my tracks. I still wanted to mention to her, why didn't you guys mention vaccinations? What, you saw my CV, you had interviews with me, you made an offer. Why doesn't it say anything in the letter of appointment that Bidvest Plumlink has got these mandatory vaccinations? Where is this coming? I didn't even get to that. She just immediately shut me down and immediately said to me, oh, no, there's no such thing. You misunderstood him. That won't be happening. Don't worry about that. There's no such thing. Bye-bye. The whole call lasted like 5 or 10 minutes. Now, obviously, my relationship and my trust relationship with this regional manager is completely destroyed. I mean, the whole vaccine scenario, the whole move he pulled on me when I was supposed to be off for a few days, and all of a sudden he wants this ridiculous amount of feedback. The whole thing he did with the reps where he just recanted their commission, the whole thing that he's been doing to customers, taking back the terms and conditions that he gave them. Now the whole relationship with the regional manager is ruined. So the regional manager proceeded to hold meetings with my sales teams, internal and external, in my absence. He just started calling meetings and having meetings with my people behind my back, not telling me, just started having meetings with them. So eventually in July, I emailed the previous company that I worked for, the manager that I reported to, the GM, as well as the HR. In one email, I just said to them, look, I'm in the market again. I was with them for like 4 or 5 years. So luckily I had a good reputation. I sent that email and my phone rang 30 minutes later. It was my previous GM. I was so happy to hear from her, and she's like, listen, we can take you back. We've got a regional manager position for you, but you're going to have to move to Joburg. You know, we've been struggling in Joburg. We haven't had good managers there. Because they're actually a Cape Town. I was just so relieved. I just said yes, and I took the position. I left Plumlink and I went to Joburg. Okay, now I said that I will give you 7 lessons at the end of this video with this whole Bidvest Plumlink incident. I mean, you gotta look for the good in every situation, I guess. So there's a lot of lessons that I learned, and I just thought of a couple here. As I remember more lessons and corporate videos, I will be making a lot of corporate company videos going forward. But here's 7 lessons, okay? If you want to work for a large corporate company, you either have to have one of two personality types. Number 1, and this is very common, you either have to be codependent and 100% unwilling to stand up for yourself in any way. If you have it in your heart to stand up for yourself, even 1, 2, 3, or 5% when the company is wrong, you're not going to make it. They're going to wreck you, because as soon as you point out that the company is wrong, you are going to be seen as the problem. Number 2, and I'm going to make a separate video where I delve into this nice and deep, but number 2, the other personality type that you can have if you want to succeed in a corporate company or in a large business, a business where the owner is no longer directly involved in the business, you have to be a psychopath. And I mean that in the full sense of the word. Go read the book Snakes and Suits by Dr. Robert D. Hare. But anyway, I mean it in the full sense of, you have to be a psychopath. What do I mean by that? You have to be without a conscience. You have to lack empathy, lack remorse. You have to be manipulative. You have to be deceitful. You have to be a pathological liar. You have to be a narcissist. You have to blame shift, be willing to blame things that go wrong on other people, and you have to deny all responsibility. And you also have to have a very good degree of emotional detachment and ability to just make cold, hard decisions. Okay, but that also lesson number 2, but I'll do another video for that some other time. Lesson number 3 learned. Do your homework before accepting a job offer. Listen to this. If I would have picked up the phone and spoke to any one of Bidvest Plumbing's suppliers or customers in the Western Cape, any one of them would have told me, are you out of your fucking mind? To even consider to work there. I mean, I had people coming to introduce themselves to me, close my office door, and ask me these subtle but not so subtle questions. They were all interested in what I was thinking, leaving the previous company to come and work for Bidvest Plumbing in Cape Town. Number 4, if a company thrives on politics and you are a performer and an achiever, stay away. You are going to get wrecked. You do not stand a chance against corporate politics. Performance cannot beat corporate politics. It is what it is. I'll make a separate video for that. Corporate politics is an entire video for another day. Number 5, no onboarding, no training, then there's no intention to keep you or to develop you. There's a reason when you start at a business that nobody wants to give you any training. They know something you don't. They know you're not going to be there for very long. There's a reason why they employed you. It's not to do the work. There's a political reason behind it or some funny motive. They threw me into the fire without a map because they knew I was never meant to thrive, just to take the fall when it suited them. No training is a red flag. It's a loaded gun aimed at your head. Number 6, never ever try to bring values, things like loyalty, into a broken system. I mean, I fixed their rep problem, okay? We restructured their commission models. I stood up for my people. They rewarded me with humiliation, lies, and sabotage. Don't bleed for people who are not even willing to don't bleed for people who won't even blink. If you died today, they won't even blink. They won't care. Don't bleed for those people. Okay? And then number 7, corporate will gaslight you until you question reality. I mean, I told them the truth, and then HR shut me down. They told me that what I heard wasn't real, and I misunderstood. That's psychological warfare 101. Lesson learned: when the gaslighting starts, document everything. Don't just take people's word. And you know, it's sad. It shouldn't be like that, but that's the crutch of the matter. I'll make more corporate company and large business videos and the whole psychological thing, but that's basically my Bidvest story in a nutshell.